how's it going? So when you see this, cannot find module at blah blah blah, the solution is to go into the source folder, create types module, then put in a file, any name you want. The file name is any name you want, right? And then make sure that the path matches the import, right? So in here we have assets, so you need to tell TypeScript when it sees this, what type of file is this, right? And you tell it that it's content string, export default content, and then this error just disappears, and that's it. Problem solved. It's going to work. Okay, so in previous video I made a solution for example, like this: path, add components, and then you declare your path. Bottom line, so just a quick one. This solution is not going to work on images. It only works on JavaScript files. Okay, and this solution works on images. Reverse is true. You cannot solve JavaScript import error with this type of solution. Okay, so you can think of two solutions. In my head, there are two solutions. One is tsconfig path solution, which is this one. You use it in JavaScript TypeScript files, right? That's what this is for. When you encounter a problem with images, you have to use, I call it folder types solution. So you create folder types, and then you put in your module into it, and then it fixes this problem. And that's about it. So let's do it from the beginning, right? Let's just do it from the beginning. Okay, so we imported so we have alias in here, which is assets, right? And under this assets, it is pointing to this folder here, which is assets alien. Okay, so we imported in here. Now you will notice that everything is still working despite this error. So when you run your build, let's run a build, you will see that there are no errors, right? Now, why does that error still exist? That's because Webpack is okay, because Webpack knows what to do. But TypeScript cannot read Webpack config, so it has no idea what to do with this assets alias. So that's why it's telling you, I don't know what to do with it, I can't find it, okay? So, and it's going to tell you the problem also, it doesn't understand the alien image. Bottom line, this error is made up of two errors. Number one, it does not understand what does assets mean. Technically, you can fix it by declaring it like this. But this image is still going to appear exactly the same because there is a second problem in this error, and that is because it doesn't understand what is this alien file type, right? Because Webpack config knows that it's an AVIF file, but TypeScript does not. So TypeScript does not know, right? Even though the error looks exactly the same, it's complaining about two things. One is, I don't know what the hell is assets, and two, I don't know what is this alien file, right? So to fix this, we simply go to source folder, we create a new folder called types, okay, new file. In this case, it's probably best to associate it by name, but any name can do. I'll just call it any name, any file name. Okay, so now this part is important. DTS, that's the extension. That should be the extension. Okay, and then we simply copy and paste. Well, we can put like this: declare module add whatever this thing is, add assets. Whoops. and then anything under assets is going to be const content is string, and then export default content. Now don't ask me exactly what does that mean, but all the syntax is always the same in this, right? So that's what you put in, and then this disappears because now it knows when it sees assets, where does it point to. In here it's very important to include this, right? So you must have this source in your compiler options, right? Then it knows I go to source, I go to assets, right? So this is fixed now. So it knows what to do with this, and it finds any file. So now it's asking, okay, so what is, so now we solved this by essentially doing this, right? The second thing is going to ask, okay, when I see files in here, what type are they? And we just tell it that it's a content type, which is like string, like probably a URL, right? So now the error disappears because now it understands that this type here is a URL string, right? Realistically, in Webpack terms, it will be a file, but you have to understand that the way the browser communicates with files is through a URL. It's very hard to explain, but let me just try to show it to you. Localhost. One sec. Okay, so let me show you this, alright? Look, so we have an image in here, okay? So, how does the browser communicate with this image? Where does it get the image from, right? It doesn't, like, you just have to understand the underneath mechanism. Underneath, because this image is sitting inside a specific URL, and this is the URL of it. So localhost is the server that's running the website, I suppose. Assets is the name of the folder where it sits, right? Because this localhost 90 is running from source. Because if you look at Webpack configuration, you see it's running from source. So it knows that inside the source, there's going to be an assets folder, and there's going to be alien inside of it. So this is a URL. This is like string or URL that tells the browser where to get the file from, right? But from a TypeScript perspective, I suppose, this thing here is just a string, right? So when it looks at the file, it says, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? This is a string. So it says, oh, that's fine. Okay, so I understand what to do with it. This is a string, and that's it. It does not complain anymore. All right, and that's in my mind, that's how you solve it. Okay. So again, let's just sum it up real quick. So you have this error, right? So this error consists of two errors. One, it doesn't understand what is assets, and two, it doesn't understand what type of the alien file, what type is it, right? Now, we already learned I made a video previously, is how to solve this error, right? You just simply copy what you have in here in here, right? So this will fix, it will tell TypeScript what to do with the assets part. You still have, again, you will still have this error, because then the second part becomes is what do you do? What is the file type of alien? And the way to solve that is, again, create folder types. Any name, in this case I'll call it assets.d.ts. I think it's declare module. So it's declare module, then add assets, const. Well, technically you can write anything in here, right? Because you're exporting. You can do value, string, export value. It makes no difference. But in here you probably, by convention, better to write content. It's just you give it a definition, right? And then that's it. And then this fixes this problem. Now, the reason why you do not need to do the path type is because this already fixes the path automatically, as long as you have the source inside. And yeah, that's about it. Okay, take care, bye-bye.